we kindle light to remind ourselves of the power of the individual. We begin with one candle, the Shamus candle. Were it not for Mattathias, were it not for the family, his family, were it not for that one group who started the revolt, world would be different. We would not be here. The Maccabean revolt never would have occurred. History is made by individuals called upon to do exactly what they are supposed to do. And we will sit around and we will watch our candles burn and we will sing songs and we will play dreidels because that's what we do. Sevivon and all of those good things and eat wonderful food. Oh Hanukkah, what a beautiful holiday. Page 365.
Oh Hanukkah, come light the menorah. Let's have a party, we'll all dance the hora. Gather round the table, we'll give you a treat. Savivon to play with and latkes to eat. And while we are playing, the candles are burning low. One for each night they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. One for each night they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. Oh Hanukkah, come light the menorah. Let's have a party, we'll all dance the hora. Gather round the table, we'll give you a treat. Savivon to play with and latkes to eat. And while we are playing, the candles are burning low. One for each night they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. One for each night they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago.
Antiochus nearly succeeded in his quest to annihilate monotheism and Judaism. He had outlawed all Jewish practices, no reading of Torah, no circumcision, no teaching of Hebrew. And we know from historical documents at this time that Jewish males underwent a very painful procedure to hide the mark of circumcision. This in the days before general anesthetics. Remember, there was not general anesthetics. There was none of that available. Yet we know that Jewish men underwent a very painful procedure in order to hide the mark of circumcision so that they could participate in the Olympic Games and not be identified as Jews, because the Olympic Games were male athletes doing their stuff in the nude. And your business deals were arranged not in the coffee shops, not in the restaurants, not out on the streets, but in the bathhouses. A la natural. And so it was easy to tell who the Jews were. And so we know that the Jews of Jerusalem had pretty much assimilated because they were willing to go through this procedure in order to blend in. But our ancestors outsmarted Antiochus and his troops. In our memories were the stories of our Torah. There was no radio, there was no television, there were no stupid melodies running through our heads. What we had running through our heads were verses from Torah. And so we will not read from the Torah because Antiochus forbids it, but we will read from the prophets. And we will select from the prophets verses that correlate to that week's Torah portion. And so a simple phrase or a reference to a story in the Torah by the prophets enabled us to, in our memory, read that week's Torah portion while we were reading the prophets. And when the guard said, no reading Torah, we're reading Isaiah. Isaiah is not in the Torah. And we're reading the prophets, not the Torah. Same with our children. Tops, four-sided tops with Hebrew letters, all the Hebrew letters. Spinning tops, teaching our children Hebrew letters, putting those letters together, making Hebrew words, teaching Hebrew to our children. Hey, the guards say, no teaching Hebrew. No, we're not teaching Hebrew. We're playing a game with our children. Leave us alone. And so right under the very noses, we were able to pass on Jewish tradition and to teach our people's knowledge to the next generation. Now, in those days, dreidels were made out of It's not in your prayer books. You'll have to do this from memory. Just like our ancestors did with the Torah portion.
I have a little dreidel, I made it out of clay, and when it's dry and ready, then dreidel I shall play. Oh, dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay, and when it's dry and ready, then dreidel I shall play. It has a lovely body with legs so short and thin, and when it gets all tired, it drops and then I win. Oh, dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay, and when it's dry and ready, then dreidel I shall play. My dreidel's always playful, it loves to dance and spin. A happy game of dreidel, come play, now let's begin. Oh, dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay, and when it's dry and ready, then dreidel I shall play.
Cantor, do you have a dreidel made out of clay?
I do not.
I do not have one made out of clay either.
I do not. Well, we have one, but it is lacquered and beautiful, and I was told I'm not allowed to spin it.
Okay, can't spin that one.
So instead...
What other kinds of dreidels do you have, Cantor?
Oh, goodness. So let me tell you about all the dreidels I have. I have one that's, well, I don't, but I could. I'm sure they probably sell molds at Target. So I was thinking maybe we can make one out of ice. I have a little dreidel, I made it out of ice, and when it started melting, it wasn't very nice. Oh, dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay, and when it's dry and ready, then dreidel I shall play. I can also make it out of... I was going to say that. You read my mind. Chocolate chips. Here we go. I have a little dreidel. I made it out of chocolate chips. Please don't tell my mother I ate it before dinner. It was delish. Oh, dreidel, dreidel, dreidel. I made it out of clay. And when it's dry and ready, then dreidel I shall play. I can also try to fashion it together. I guess chocolate chips might be a little melty around the Chanukiah, so we might need some glue. I have a little dreidel, I made it out of glue. It didn't hold together, and why I have no clue. Oh, dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay, and when it's dry and ready, then dreidel I shall play. Rabbi, do you have one?
Well, out of Blucher, but yeah, you already did that song, so no. So one of my favorite ones to make is a dreidel made out of cake.
Cake? What are you doing to me?
You asked.
Cake! I have a little dreidel. I made it out of cake.
And then it got all crumbly. So I threw it in the lake.
Oh, dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay. And when it's dry and ready, then dreidel I shall play. Lots of food. How about we can try to make it out of bread? That could work. You know, we used to take bread and then we would, kind of lick it so it'd get all doughy and then eat that and pretend that it was dough. We were weird children. Why did you raise us that way? I have a little dreidel, I made it out of bread. Oh, wait, I had chocolate chip dreidel for dinner, so I'll eat it up instead. Oh, dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay, and when it's dry and ready, then dreidel I shall play. From the audience, do we have one more? Yeah. Jicama. What rhymes with jicama? You're going to have to come up with a rhyme for that one. Carrots, wax. Wax is a good one. Wax, sax, fax, lax. I had a little dreidel. I made it out of wax. Let me think of what I want to do. Made it out of wax. I made it out of wax. I made it out of wax. It didn't hold its shape well, so I got some sealing wax is also wax. Oh, dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay. And when it's dry and ready, then dreidel I shall play. Last one, because I would love to be able to make one out of wood, like this beautiful, beautiful Chanukiah we have up there. But I have the same fear, which is I have a little dreidel. I made it out of oak. oak wood. We played near the menorah, and it went up in smoke. Oh, dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay. And when it's dry and ready, then dreidel I shall play.
Very creative cantor. You know, our cantor is truly a wonderful genius when it comes to creativity. And maybe, cantor, you can help us resolve the great dilemma that has truly puzzled the rabbis' minds for generations.
Absolutely.
Cantor, I must ask you, how do you spell Hanukkah?
It's a really good question. You can have it with a C, an H, a dot under the H. Is that still a thing in modern times? You can also do it with N's, one N, two N, two K's, one K, H on the end. I have no idea, and in fact, I have a song about that, which I couldn't figure out on guitar, so. Is it with a C or H? I am confused. What about those N's and K's? Do you use one or two? Well, I bet you would be stumped if you had to spell Hanukkah. Why are all the spellings wrong? Or maybe they're all right. Can someone please decide? Make up your mind. Tried spell check and Webster's. Is there an answer to my question? Can someone please help me? How do you spell Hanukkah? Asked teachers, asked family, but no one knows the answer. Someone please help me. How do you spell Hanukkah? No one can tell. I don't mean to dwell, but how do you spell I tried spell check and Webster's. Is there an answer to my question? Can someone please tell me? How do you spell? I asked neighbors, rabbis. No one ever knows the answer. Can someone, anyone, somebody? How do you spell Hanukkah? The answer is no one knows. I thought you'd come at me with some of that Hebrew nonsense, and I was going to tell you, don't worry about that. We want the Goyim to know what we're celebrating.
That's right, that's right. And here is proof positive, my friends, of all the Hanukkah songs there is not a single song about a single vial of oil that burned for 8 nights. There is not a single song. We have songs about miracles, yes, but not specific miracles. We have songs about Hanukkah. We have songs about dreidel. We don't have this little oil of mine. Good try, though. We have songs about dreidels. We have songs about everything. Not a single song exists about the miracle of the oil. Is there any more proof positive you could ask? And so, with our legend of our oil and the miraculous victory of the Maccabees and their institution of an 8-day holiday, which, by the way, this is how Solomon first dedicated his temple, was by celebrating an 8-day festival of dedication of the very first temple built for us. The Maccabees knew that. Those are all the reasons why we celebrate the holiday for 8 days. And so, we have lived on every land on this planet. We have spoken every language on this planet. And one of the best languages that our people came up with is the language of Ladino, especially here in Southern California, because we can resonate with Ladino very easily. Except we have to be careful with the numbers. There are a total of 8 candles, yes? Una candelica. Dos candelicas, tres candelicas, cuatro candelicas, centu candelicas. Note the Jew there. Centu. What is centu? 5. What does 5 stand for? 5 books of Moses. Torah. Centu. That's why it's centu. Sage.
For the cooking.
For the cooking.
For the birthday.
And then we go siete. And then finally we end with ocho.
Oh, good.
Ocho candelicas para mí.
This is one of my favorites, and our students love this one on Sundays. Hanukkah linda, está aquí. Ocho candelas para mí. Hanukkah linda está aquí. Ocho candelas para mí. Oh, get a big breath. Una candelica, dos candelicas, tres candelicas, ocho candelicas, cinco candelicas, seis candelicas, siete candelicas, ocho candelas para mí. ¡Olé! Muchas fiestas vou fazer con alegrías y placer. Hanukkah linda está aquí. Ocho candelas para mí. Oh, little faster. Una candelica, dos candelicas, tres candelicas, cuatro candelicas, cinco candelicas, seis candelicas, siete candelicas, ocho candelas para mí. ¡Olé! Los pastelicos vou comer con almendricas y la miel. Hanukkah linda está aquí. Ocho candelas para mí. Oh, oh, oh. Una candelica, dos candelicas, tres candelicas, cuatro candelicas, cinco candelicas, seis candelicas, siete candelicas, ocho candelas para mí. ¡Olé!
Wonderful, wonderful way to celebrate Hanukkah. The real meaning of Hanukkah, the miracle of Hanukkah, the light of Hanukkah, the joy of Hanukkah, and even the silly sweaters of Hanukkah, which leads us to our next thing. We want to light our Shabbat candles. And so I invite Ashley and Sharon Kravitz to join us on the bima. Wearing their beautiful, and yes, by all means, Mike, please, so we can display wonderful Hanukkah sweaters. I'm wearing my Hanukkah tie, by the way. See, Hanukkah tie. No, we don't. It is hard to wear these kinds of items out in the general population at this time of year.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
By the way, I have a beautiful sock that will go with your sweater, but I only have one sock. So maybe next year I'll get another.
Depends on how good you are.
We continue on page 28 in our prayer books as we continue with the words of our Baruch Hu, our call to worship. I invite us to rise as we are able.
Yai
Our service continues on page 33 as we read responsively at the bottom of the page. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol.
All these things your Torah gives to us.
And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. Then this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
We may be seated. Our service continues on page 40. As I point out to you a key to the holiday of Hanukkah. Our heroes are known as the Maccabees. On the very first line, for those who are able to read Hebrew, and if not, follow along in the transliteration, if you take the first letter of the very first line of each of those words that are there, the m from me, the k from chamocha, the ba from Ba'elim, and the yi from Adonai, you get Maccabi. This was the battle cry of the Maccabees, and this is why they were called the Maccabees, because they said, "Who is like our God?" This was the battle cry. The Maccabees also are the first time in recorded history where people fought for the right to worship God their way, according to their tradition. This is the first battle for religious freedom in recorded history. Not too bad for the Maccabees. A small group of people from a little city outside, little village outside of Jerusalem, Modi'in, now a beautiful big city. But nonetheless, Michamocha was their battle cry, and this is where Maccabee comes from. As we continue with Michamocha.
To the tune of
continue on page 45 in our prayer books. A thought has blown the marketplace away. There is a song on the wind and joy in the trees. Shabbat arrives in the world, scattering a song in the silence of the night. Eternity utters a day. We continue on page 46 and following with the words of our tefillah. I invite us to rise as we are able.
Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Velohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Velohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor Vehanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chastei Avot Ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'nehem, Lema'an Shemo Be'yahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch Ata Adonai, Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah, Ata Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol Ata Rav Lehoshia, Mashiv HaRuach Umorid HaGashem, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofech Olim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Nemunato, Lishenei Afar, Micha Mocha Ba'al Gevurot, Umido Melech, Melech Memitu Mechaya, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'emanata L'hachayot HaKol, Baruch Ata Adonai, Mechayei HaKol. Ata Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Kadoshim B'chol Yom Yehalelucha Selah, Baruch Ata Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
We may be seated. So much of our tradition that we accept today as tradition that goes back to the time of Moses really only goes back to the times of the rabbis of the Talmud. The Torah tells us to celebrate Shabbat, not to work on Shabbat, to make it a holy day, but it doesn't tell us how. It is the rabbis of the Talmud who tell us how. 2 candles, Kiddush, festive meal, lots of singing. Most of the holidays, as we celebrate them today, are an interpretation based upon our rabbis and their discussions about how to celebrate the holiday. The Torah never tells us to have a Seder meal. The Torah tells us to bring the Paschal lamb sacrifice and to eat it with bitter herbs and unleavened bread. No 4 cups of wine, no storytelling, no nothing. Yes, I know. Thank you to the rabbis. Thanks to the rabbis. Indeed, we owe our very existence to these wise men and women, although they were not rabbis. Our Talmud reports the lessons of many women in the process of our Jewish tradition forming. One of them being the maid of Rabbi Why do you leave me right now, right when I needed you most? That name, Rabbi Judah Hanassi and his handmaid who actually taught him a bunch of lessons. And so our rabbis were geared to look beyond their time to the future and wanted to secure a Judaism that was prosperous, a Judaism that was thriving, and most importantly, a Judaism that was at peace. And they realized the only way that would happen is if we tweaked some of our history a little bit so that future generations would grow up with the idea of peace as being the ultimate goal, not war. The book of Maccabees reads just like Lord of the Rings. War after war, battles here, battles there. It is a pretty violent book, which is why it's not part of our Bible. The rabbis didn't want that to be their legacy to the future generations. Our rabbis wanted us to understand that shalom, peace, this is the highest goal of all humanity. That every human being should be able to live at peace with one another, at peace with themselves, at peace with the world. One might argue the rabbis may have gone a little too far in their passivity and instilling the idea of peace at all costs. Because the modern state of Israel has taught us that, yes, peace might be our goal, but we know that sometimes we need to defend ourselves if we are to live at peace. And so, peace is still our ultimate goal. The lights of this holiday are all about that very thing, about finding peace within ourselves and within each other. This is what the holiday of Hanukkah is all about. That's why the rabbis chose to emphasize a legend about the oil and not the military victory. They did not want future generations of Jews to be embroiled in a constant fight against the outside world. They wanted us to find ways to make peace with that outside world, and we did. And that's why the Greek Empire is no longer here. The Roman Empire is no longer here. The Byzantine Empire is no longer here. The Ottoman Empire is no longer here. The Babylonian Empire is no longer here. The Persian Empire is no longer here. But we Jews, we are still here. And we have seen them all. And in our victory of establishing peace, one might say, we have beat them all. Shalom Rav. May there be a great peace for us, for all of Israel, and for all the world on this holiday season, especially this holiday of Hanukkah. Page 60 in our prayer books.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה לשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam.
We include as well in our hope for peace those whose sense of peace and well-being has been disturbed, perhaps even shattered by the challenges that they are facing. The words to our Misha Berach can be found on page 253 in our prayer books. And I invite you during the musical interlude between the paragraphs to share aloud the name of a loved one who is in need of such prayers for peace, a return to shalom and wholeness in their lives. May all who are facing challenges to their health and their well-being be blessed on their journey, a journey that will bring them to a refuah shlema, a complete return to shalom, to peace, to wholeness. Baruch atah Adonai Rofei HaCholim. We praise you, O God, who helps us bring hope and healing to those who are in need. And let us say, Amen. We move to the conclusion of our worship service with the words of our Aleinu. The adoration can be found on page 282 in our prayer books, as I invite us to rise as we are able.
Kamish bechol ta'ad
Our thoughts now turn to those who have departed this earth, those who live on in our hearts and our memories in a place we call Olam Haba, the world to come. The words to our Kaddish can be found on page 294 in our prayer books. As we call to mind those for whom we are observing the Shloshim, the 30 days since their death, Rebecca Lomeli, friend of Eileen and Lillian McNella, and Jerry Robinson, the brother of Sandra Block. To those names, we link the names of those whose yahrzeits have occurred during this past week: Miles E. Atlas, Arthur Karen, Ida Finkelstein, Anne Irwin, Abraham Kravitz, Goldie Schuckhoff, Rose Kate Paskus, Morris Levin, Solomon, Flora, David, Grace, Allegra Matilda, and Yvonne Nisim, the Nisim family. Bernice Craig, Edward Handel, Edith Lessler, Norman Oken, Alice Babroff, Georgette Kravitz, Herbert Ernest Palmer, Irving J. Sherman, Henry Marks, Gussie Mailberg, and Ruthie C. Friedman. To those names, we link the names of those for whom we are observing the Kaddish period: Madge Evelyn Tatum Lenegro, Shirley Grossberg, Shirley Altanu, Muriel Balaban, Nick Scotto, Inga Spiegel, Adrian Casson, Florence Sachs, Cam Craig, Annette Raymond, Irving Drobny, Bernard Beskin, Nancy Zinberg, Howard Brookfield, Eric Lertzman, Sandra Lertzman, Michael Lertzman, Paula Marcus, Don Kessler, Catherine O'Salisbury, George Sachs, Adrian Henschel, Murray Gimbel, Margaret Hershkowitz, and Dr. Gerhard Paskus. If there's a loved one whom you are remembering, I invite you to share that name at this time. To those that we have named aloud, and to those that we keep named in the quiet places of our hearts and memories, we link as well the names and memories of the men and women of our armed forces who have given their lives for our liberties and our freedoms, those who have given their lives for our safety here at home, members of our police, our firefighters and other first responders, and of course the members of the Israeli Defense Forces who have given their lives for the hope of peace. Zichronam levracha. May their memories always be for a blessing as we share together the words of our Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemed rabba, b'yalma divrach hirute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chaye decho Beit Yisrael, V'agala uvizman kari vimru. Amen. Yehei shemed rabba mevarach leolam ulalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemed kudesha berichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechamata da'amiran b'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May all of us who mourn and all of us who are bereaved, may we find through God's eternal presence a source of strength, courage, and hope, above all a source of shalom, of peace. And let us all say, amen. We conclude this evening's service with a special song, a modern song about Hanukkah, written by Peter Yarrow of Peter, Paul, and Mary. Light One Candle, which you can find on page 367 in your prayer books, but you'll need to juggle the book as I invite you to put your arm around the shoulder of someone next to you, or the hand of someone who needs to remain seated, so that we might create for ourselves, in a way, our own candle linkages to take us into the wink ahead. Light one candle.
Light one candle for the Maccabee children. Give thanks that their Lord didn't die. Light one candle for the pain they endured when their right to exist was denied. Light one candle for the terrible sacrifice, justice and freedom denied.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and Hanukkah Sameach. Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah.
Okay. Okay.
I'll give you.
Oh, that's not mine. It's,
Oh, I thought you.
no. Oh, I think I got a sock.
I know you got some.
I don't think I got a whip. I got a whip. Shabbat Shalom. Please join us in our social hall for a kiddush opportunity to partake of sufganiyot and other goodies.
Saw you on TV.
When?
Like I was watching.
Thank you. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome Jessica back tonight. Jessica's helping out this evening. Yay! Oh, look, we even have Jewish cookies for the evening. What more could we ask for? Wonderful. Thank you very much. With our cantor's help, juice and wine.